2025 In the Park concert series. The City of Birmingham would like to thank our sponsors, star sponsors, Move as a Human, Original Pancake House of Michigan. Our fan sponsors are Birmingham Bloomfield Chamber, Bloomfield Chiropractic Center, Perspire and Sauna Studio, who is here this afternoon, Sterling and Abraham's PC. Friend sponsors are the Birmingham Family YMCA. They are as well over in the shade. Please visit them. And Vesco Oil Corporation. We also have Chubby Patch Cookies in the back. I'm extremely excited about this today. The last time they performed was 2016. So let's put our hands together and welcome the United States Army Field Band. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I am Sergeant Major Andrew Layton, and on behalf of the other members of the Jazz Ambassadors, I'd like to welcome you to this evening's performance. The Jazz Ambassadors is the official touring jazz orchestra of the United States Army, and we are on the 10th day of a 16-day summer tour. It's so great to finally be back here in Birmingham. How's everybody doing tonight? All right. That first tune you heard was entitled "You Don't Know What Love Is" and featured on the trumpet from Edina, Minnesota, Staff Sergeant Preston Haining. On the guitar from Greenville, Tennessee, that's Master Sergeant Jonathan Epley. And on the drums, that's Sergeant First Class Wesley Anderson. We are going to continue with some music from America's greatest composer, Edward Kennedy Ellington. You may know him as Duke. This tune was written as his dedication to what it sounded like in between all the different apartment buildings in Harlem, New York in the 1930s. This one's entitled Harlem Airshaft. Duke Ellington's Harlem Airshaft, featuring on the clarinet from Cranston, Rhode Island, Master Sergeant Bradford Danho. And on the trumpet from Manteo, North Carolina, Staff Sergeant Eric Williams.
Hi, my name is Staff Sergeant Matt Corrigan. I've been with the Jazz Ambassadors for 7 years. I'm a gamer. I like games of like any kind. Like if I see someone playing chess or something, I'll go up, play checkers. I've recently gotten into 3D printing. I made an attachment that holds baby bottles like with the crib, One of the most challenging things about this job is the amount of time you spend away from home. I think he was maybe 2 or 3 months first tour. And when I came back, he had flipped himself onto his tummy and he was just like a turtle, like up, like looking around. It was just like, oh wow. Like I've only been gone 2 weeks and he had already like learned a new skill. This next song is a piece called Carl. It's originally written by Bill Holman. I first heard this tune through an Andy Martin record. I studied with him at USC, so that's kind of the connection. So I thought it would work well, and hopefully it does.
Troy, Michigan, let's hear it for Staff Sergeant Matt Corrigan on the trombone.
Hi, I'm Staff Sergeant Emily Perkins, and I'm a vocalist with the Jazz Ambassadors of the United States Army Field Band. So I had the wonderful opportunity of my first duty station being the 1st Armored Division, Old Ironsides. So I was stationed at Fort Bliss, Texas, and I was a pianist, at least for a while. What's really cool about the Army bands is you have people coming from all over the place, different backgrounds. If you played other instruments or if you had other interests, you were encouraged to use them. On piano, I was able to be part of the country band, the rock band, the jazz combo, concert band. I had mentioned that I did like to sing, that I had had some experience singing. I had been in choirs, I had done musical theater, but I didn't at all consider myself a singer as far as my main instrument. I was still very convinced that I was going to be a pianist for the rest of my life. I started to find myself really falling in love with singing, and getting out from behind the piano and closer to the audience was really thrilling. So after years of waiting for an opportunity like the Jazz Ambassadors, I finally got my chance, and I couldn't be happier to be serving with this group of musicians.
Ladies and gentlemen, would you please welcome from Dowagiac, Michigan, Staff Sergeant Emily Perkins.
When a bee lies sleeping in the palm of your hand, oh, you're bewitched and deep in love's long looked after land, where you'll see a sun-up sky with the morning new, and then the days go laughing by as love comes calling on you. Sleep on, be don't waken, can't believe what just passed. He's mine for the taking, I'm so happy at last. Well, maybe I dream, but he seems sweet, golden as a crown. Oh, a sleeping feet don't bother me, I walk with my feet off the ground when my one true love, oh, I have found. Yeah. Oh, when now thee lies sleeping in the palm of your hand, oh, you're bewitched and deep in love's long looked after land. Oh, maybe I dream, but it's them burning as a crown, and then the days go laughing by as love comes. Maybe I dream, but he seems sweet.
thinking I'm so happy at last. Well, maybe happy, but he seems sweet. Darling, every time I sleepy feels about them. I walk with my feet off the ground. Then I want to Thank you so very much. On bass, that was Sergeant First Class Hamilton Price. Give it up. Thank you so much. This next tune is one of my absolute favorite ballads. It's one of the very first ballads I learned when I was getting into jazz. It's an old standard from the 1930s. And my personal favorite recording of this is by Sarah Vaughan, so I'm thinking of her every time I sing it. A beautiful ballad that's kind of bittersweet. It's about being with somebody you love, but then how you feel when you have to spend time apart. This is Every Time We Say Goodbye. Every time we say goodbye, oh, I die a little. Every time we say goodbye, I wonder why a little. Why the gods above me, who must be in the know, oh, think so little of me, they allow you to go. Oh, when you're near, there's such an air of spring about it. I can hear a lark somewhere begin to sing about it. There's no love song finer, but how strange the change from major to minor every time. Oh, every time we say goodbye. When you're near, there is such an air, oh, of spring about it. I can hear a lark somewhere begin to sing about it. There's no love song finer, but how strange the change from major to minor every time Thank you. That was Master Sergeant Jonathan Epley on guitar. Thank you so much. This next tune comes from the Great American Songbook. Cole Porter, who is the main contributor to that, he was writing a lot for the musicals in the 1920s, and a lot of those tunes made it over to the jazz repertoire as well. This is from a musical not so well known today, but it's a Connecticut Yankee, and this is probably the most fun tune in the whole show. This is Thou Swell. Thou swell, thou witty, thou sweet, thou grand, wouldst kiss me pretty, wouldst hold my hand, but thine eyes are cute to what they do to me. Hear me holler, I choose a sweet lullabilooza in thee. Oh, I feel so rich in a for two rooms and a kitchen. Oh, I'm sure I would do. Give me just a plot of, not a lot of land. And oh, thou swell, thou windy, thou grand. Oh, wouldst kiss me so pretty, oh, would hold my hand, but thine eyes are cute to what they do to me. Hear me holler, I choose a sweet lullabilooza in thee. Yeah, I feel so rich in a for two roofs and a kitchen. Well, I'm sure Papa would do. Give me just a plot of, not a lot of land. Whoa, whoa, yeah, thou swell, thou witty, thou pretty, thou grand.
How about a round of applause for Michigan's own Staff Sergeant Emily Perkins. How's everybody doing? You guys look a lot cooler than we do. Sitting in the shade, nobody's in the sun. There's like 2 people in the sun. What's going on with that? Okay, that's all right. Ladies and gentlemen, this is my opportunity to tell you a little bit more about the mission of the Jazz Ambassadors. As I mentioned in my introduction, we are the official touring jazz orchestra of the United States Army. And normally we spend about 80 to 100 days every year traveling all around the country, sometimes outside of the country, doing our very best to connect you, the American public, with your Army. And we do that in a number of different ways. Yeah, all right, thank you. Obviously, music is a part of that, and we love sharing our gifts with the American public, but we're also here for a couple other reasons. We're here to remind you guys that you should definitely thank your local veterans, right? We want to make sure that we give love to all the veterans who served before us, for sure. And we'll play a tune later on dedicated to our veterans so that we can thank you in a little bit of a more formal way. But we definitely ask you guys, as you go home tonight or tomorrow, sometime next week, if you see that neighbor of yours or someone in your neighborhood who served previously in any of the armed forces, please thank them for their service, because we would not be here without their sacrifice. Yes, absolutely. We're also here as soldiers representing soldiers. We are trying to do our very best to represent the many, many thousands of men and women who are deployed to over 140 different countries all around the world, who don't get the opportunity to go ahead and interact with you, shake your hand, and let you know how their service is going. Many of those men and women are deployed to some very dangerous places, and they're doing some very dangerous jobs on our behalf. But we certainly do hope that the professionalism and expertise that you've heard on this stage tonight is representative of the job that those men and women are doing right at this very minute. How about a round of applause for the band, please? It's not very often that we get printed programs at an outdoor concert. We also had the QR code up here earlier. If you have a program, if you could go ahead and look on the inside page of that, you'll see a letter to you from our boss, General Bradenkamp, who happens to be the commanding general of the Military District of Washington. He doesn't get an opportunity to come out on the road and hear us perform very often. He's obviously very important, works at the Pentagon. So he took his time out to write you a letter and say hello to you. I think that's pretty cool. If you look underneath that, you'll see a letter on how to get in touch with us. We do hope that you'll send us a letter, either an email or a snail mail address. There's a little QR code down there that if you scan with your phone, it'll automatically open up your email application. You can send us an email super easy that way. Please let us know what you thought of tonight's performance. Let us know what you'd like to see more of, and ask us to come back to Birmingham. How's that sound? That address to get in touch with us is strategically placed underneath the letter from General Bradenkamp for a reason, and that's because every letter that you send us eventually finds its way to the General's desk as well. See what I'm saying? So if you write a letter, please make it very, very nice. We do appreciate that in advance. Thank you so much. We are on a number of different social media platforms that you'll see over here. We hope that you will follow us. We are a part of a larger organization entitled the Army Field Band, where we have a chorus, a concert band, a six-string soldiers bluegrass country group, and also a pop group as well. That's why we're all under that umbrella. If you search us at Army Field Band on any one of those platforms, you can follow us even when we're not here in Birmingham. I think that would be very cool. There's lots of very cool stuff on the web. A lot of behind-the-scenes photos and videos and things like that. So please give us a like, give us a follow. We do appreciate that very much. A lot goes into a performance like this one. Many, many months of planning. Hopefully not years of planning, although it sounds like we were last year in 2016. I was here. I didn't feel like it's been that long, but maybe it has. A lot of work goes into planning a concert like this, as I said, and all of that work is done by our presenters. So how about a round of applause for the city of Birmingham for getting us here? Thank you so much. It's so good to be back. Hopefully it won't be another 9 years before we're back here. I would like to thank some members of the Jazz Ambassadors who aren't up here on stage, but without whom we wouldn't be able to do our jobs half as well. Specifically our audio engineer in the back at the soundboard there, yeah, there he is. How about a round of applause for Sergeant First Class Ricky Furr? Next to him, on his right, is a member of our production team who's been running all the cool video assets tonight. How about a round of applause for Staff Sergeant Ahmed Shakuruglu? We're also very fortunate to have two outstanding drivers with us. They drive that big tractor trailer and the bus that's over there. They get us many thousands of miles safely every year. How about a round of applause for Mr. Dave Gillick and Mr. Nate Weibley? How about we get back to some more music? All right. This next tune was written by the great Quincy Jones, who we unfortunately lost last year. A lot of people know Quincy through his relationships with people like Michael Jackson and Frank Sinatra and things like that. A lot of people don't know that Quincy started out as a big band trumpet player with the Lionel Hampton Band, and then moved on to a couple other groups before he became a full-time composer and arranger. This tune he actually wrote for the Dizzy Gillespie Jazz Orchestra, and it was entitled Jessica's Day. Please enjoy. Quincy Jones, Jessica's Day. Once again on the trumpet, Staff Sergeant Eric Williams. On the tenor saxophone from Dallas, Texas, that's Staff Sergeant Robert West. And on the alto saxophone from Southlake, Texas, Staff Sergeant Devin Edelman.
Hey, I'm Staff Sergeant Dave Moscow. I'm a trombonist, composer. I've been in the band about 3 years now. From a town called Marlton, New Jersey. When I go back and visit my parents, I often cross this beautiful bridge going over the Susquehanna River called the Tydings Bridge, named after Millard Tydings. It's my favorite part of that drive. It's a really beautiful view that I have to quickly sneak a peek of. I wrote this piece about the feelings that it brings me every time I cross that bridge and the journey that takes me on. I'm only on that bridge for probably 30 seconds, but it's still just a highlight of my trip every time. I hope you enjoy my composition, A Sight from Tydings.
That is a sight from Tidings. Once again, Staff Sergeant Eric Williams on the trumpet. Sergeant First Class Wesley Anderson on the drums. Composer, arranger, and soloist from Marlton, New Jersey, Staff Sergeant Dave Moscow. If you're following along in your program, you'll see that the next title of the tune is a little bit weird, and it actually is. The story behind it is a little bit weird. Might not be what you're thinking. It was written by a classmate of mine down at the University of North Texas, who just happened to be from British Columbia, Canada. And this particular tune was dedicated to he and his fellow Canadians and the culture shock that they felt moving deep into the heart of Texas, hence the title, Abducted Aliens. Please enjoy. Abducted Aliens, featuring on the baritone saxophone from Garfield Heights, Ohio, Sergeant First Class Mike Chamberlain. Once again, Master Sergeant Jonathan Epley on the guitar. Please give it up for our lead trumpet player playing all those high notes back there from Arlington, Texas, Sergeant First Class Thomas Davis. We like to do about 100 years of jazz history in each performance, and to that end, we'd like to take you all the way back to the origins of our great American art form and bring forward the Jazz Ambassadors traditional jazz band to take you on a trip down to New Orleans. Let's have a round of applause for them, please.
Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. So anybody out there been to New Orleans before? Show of hands, show of hands. All right, you guys know the deal. Good food, good people, good music. This is going to be Royal Garden Blues. We hope you enjoy.
for the Jazz Ambassadors Traditional Jazz Band. Keep clapping while I pull my music up, please. Keep going. Couple more seconds. Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, we've reached our favorite part of the show. As I mentioned earlier, we're going to do a tune that's dedicated to all our veterans in attendance tonight. If you are a veteran of any of the armed forces, if you are someone who is actively serving, or if you're a family member of a veteran or someone who is actively serving, please stand when we play your service song tonight when we do our armed forces salute so that we may recognize you. If you can't stand, just give us a wave. I promise we will see you so that we may recognize you once again for your service. We begin tonight's Armed Forces Salute by paying homage to the backbone of Homeland Security, the United States Coast Guard. Of our future, the United States Space Force. Protectors of our skies, the United States Air Force. From the sea, the United States Navy. The proud, the United States Marine Corps. Service, the United States Army. Applause for all our veterans tonight. Thank you all so much for your service. We wouldn't be here without you. Ladies and gentlemen, we've reached the end of our show, but I want to thank once again our presenters tonight, the city of Birmingham. How about one more round of applause to the city for getting us out here again. And if you would, please welcome back Michigan's own Staff Sergeant Emily Perkins for our final selection.
I know you know this one. Sing with me. God bless America, land that I love. Stand beside her and guide her through the night with the light from above. From the mountains to the prairies to the ocean. Why we fall. God bless America, my home, sweet From the mountains to the prairies to the oceans, why we fall. God bless America, my home sweet home. God bless America, my home sweet home, home sweet home.
Thank you all so much for coming out tonight, Birmingham. You've been a lot of fun. Once again, we are the U.S. Army Jazz Ambassadors. Until next time, be safe.